Ruth very much for inviting me to speak today. It is truly an honour to be here with you all and to see the fantastic work of Cook for Good. My name is Sean and I am speaking to you all today on behalf of the Deluminators. We are the Sydney branch of the not-for-profit organisation known as the Harry Potter Alliance. Those of you who are Harry Potter fans will have hopefully gotten the reference to the Deluminator, a magical object that has the ability to take the light from one place, hold on to it, and release it somewhere else where light is most needed. This was our inspiration, a magical object that reminds us of the light within us and of its ability to change the life of others and in turn the world. A fictitious novel taught us this. I would love to talk to you all today, firstly of our inspiration, a little of what our fantastic chapter does, and lastly of how you can join us. Our inspiration was and continues to grow from fiction. How is it that made-up stories can matter so much to us? Because we like to dream. We like to imagine better. We like to entertain the possibility that there are realities other than the one we live in every day. Whether it's to experience a world where things turn out alright, to give us a refreshing perspective to our daily drivel. Or whether it's to see what it's like for those without the fortune that we often ignore when looking at our own problems. It is this fundamental basis behind fiction that gives it its power that has allowed it to entrance audiences since the written word was first recorded. Since mass production of novels was first made possible, since authors such as J.K. Rowling blessed the world with their works which have the power to transform a generation, the power to influence intelligent minds and make them love to read. And from the mass of these hooked fans, people that chose to spend hours alone with their books in a world that seemed so much more amazing than their real lives, rose an organisation that sought to make the real world something worth reading about. Upon the discovery of this incredible organisation known as the Harry Potter Alliance, I was having a conversation with my sister and Vice President of the Deluminators, Sasha. We were discussing what it is that makes characters in fiction such as Harry Potter and Katniss Everdeen so gripping. And when it came down to it, we realised it was their courage. It was because irrespective of the fact that they were only teenagers, they acted far more courageously than I feared I ever, or anyone I knew would ever have the nerve to act. And that's amazing. Katniss was 16, like me, when she started a rebellion to overthrow an unjust government system. Harry was 13, like some of you are, when he freed an innocent man, saved an innocent animal. Hermione was 14, when she took a stand against the mistreatment of house elves, something the wizards had been denying for centuries. It terrified me to think that teenagers were so courageous in fiction, in the face of such hardship in their own world, and yet I feared that I wasn't in my own. Is there not just as much suffering? Just as much need for change? Does our fault and lack of courage lie in the fact that we are ignoring what we see, favouring hardship in fiction as a way of denying our own world suffering? And with that realisation came the realisation that what it was that made me so passionate about fiction was the fact that that's the kind of person I wanted to be, and it frightened me that I wasn't. I grew up in a fortunate country, in a fortunate suburb, in a fortunate home. I have had a good education at my fingertips all of my life, and never have I had important opportunities denied me. By some fluke of humanity, I have had the honour to grow up without any barriers to living my life the way I want to live it. But that makes me one of the luckiest people in the world, and I know that. But then what separated me from Katniss or Harry was my seeming inability to do anything about the inequality in our world. And it's that seeming inability which held me back. But just like all things that aren't as they seem, this inability was all in my head. Was the rational side of my brain telling me I needed to be old and experienced in order to make a change. Harry could have meekly backed away from the threat of Voldemort, allowed older and more experienced wizards than him to fight his battles, but he didn't. He fought. It was his fight, not theirs. Katniss could have meekly let the capital take her sister away and make her fight in a battle to the death, but she didn't. She volunteered as tribute. And although I did not cause illiteracy, homelessness, or inequality, they were caused by the part of society I was born into. It's my fight, just like it's your fight, and just like it's everyone in the world who feels that they have the right to make a difference's fight. When it comes down to it, age is irrelevant. My youth only means I can target this inequality through a different avenue, through fan activism. I decided I wasn't going to wait around for the world to change of its own accord, or to grow up and try then. I was tired of being involved in school fundraisers where no one had any clue what the money was for. I was tired of wishing there was something I could do. I found something and I grasped it. And as a result, we have the Deluminators, a charity unlike any other most people have ever heard of. And the astounding thing is, this unique method of changing the world actually works. I first heard about the Harry Potter Alliance late last year, and was completely intrigued by its unique format and approach to world issues. After watching its progress for a few months and reading intensely about successes around the world, I decided that I wanted to be a part of this. However, in order to join the HPA, you must join a chapter in your area. To my dismay, I realised that there were only 3 active chapters in Australia, in Perth, Melbourne and Tasmania. After initial disappointment, I came to the conclusion that this would not stop me. Why did I need to join someone else's chapter? Surely I could start my own. I immediately turned to my older sisters Zoe and Sasha, 2 people I knew would feel just as excited about this opportunity as I did. And many trials and tribulations later, we had the Sydney Deluminators at last. First thing first, we needed members. So we decided the best way to do this was through social media. We set up a Facebook page, made a video, and released it to the world. Within 24 hours, we had 100 likes on our Facebook page and over 6,000 views on our video. After a decent period of awareness raising, we dared to have our first meeting, at which point we met some amazing people who have been actively involved since then. We attempt to have meetings each month where we all meet up in Darling Harbour, overlooking our iconic Sydney scope, and discuss upcoming events and successes. The number and involvement of members attending meetings has also steadily increased, and we now have a fairly steady yet growing base of 14 members. The campaign we've begun with is known by the HPA as Accio Books, another Harry Potter reference. The aim of which is to gather as many books as possible, second-hand or otherwise, and distribute them to places where literacy levels are low and books are needed. But, due to the fact that we live in Sydney and the HPA's chosen donation recipient for the year was in Detroit, we needed to decide on our own recipient for the books we would collect. This is how we came to form a relationship with the Australian Literacy and Numeracy Foundation, an organisation that builds and fills community libraries in remote areas of Australia, so that the education gap can be closed for Indigenous, refugee and marginalised individuals. After settling on the downstairs of our house as the main collection point, our members went off into the world and promoted, calling on family, friends and the community. We had some unbelievable donations of up to 1,000 books from my school and from various other individuals with overflowing bookshelves. I would like to take this moment to thank all of you who brought in books today. It's a fantastic count. We just counted them all up and we had 8 boxes and 411 books from you all today. If you are unable to bring your books in today, we sent up the last courier on Tuesday, so if you can possibly get down to the North Shore and Tarahumara before then, we would love for you to donate more books. If not, the ALNF collects books all year round, and their warehouse is in Marrickville. Our most exciting donations by far throughout this campaign came from people in our neighbourhood, who dropped bags full of books on our doorstep after an extensive letterbox drop in our area. For the first time, we were getting the external commitment that we needed in order to give us faith that we really could do something good. We realised that people are just waiting for an avenue, and we were becoming that avenue for them. The HPA chapter with the highest number of books raised in Accio Books history was the Edmonton chapter in Canada, who last year raised just under 7,000 books. Based on this incredible achievement, we decided on a 2,000 book goal, as this was our first campaign, and we were hesitant to aim too hard too fast. As I speak to you today, we have sent off to the ALNF just under 4,500 books. And this weekend, with another few hundred in our downstairs room, many more books collected from people in our area. And this weekend we are volunteering at the huge Booktopia Garage sale in Lane Cove that could leave us around 4,000 more books out of the ones that don't sell. For the books that do sell, we have been offered 10% of the profits so that our future campaigns can be even more ambitious. Following the success of our Accio Books campaign, we were asked by the HPA to be the featured chapter on their website for the month, the chosen chapter out of hundreds. This is above and beyond what we have ever thought possible, and we are just getting started. I feel the need to follow up this success that we are so proud of with some real honesty about the other side of things. When you dream and plan to become an organisation like this, no one really warns you how difficult it can sometimes be. Getting the word out, convincing people to join, convincing people that you have the drive and the power to achieve something great, and then actually finding committed members can be incredibly tricky. Attempting to work effectively with one's own siblings really tests your patience. The most important thing for us to remember is that we all have similar, if not the same reasons for being here. We've learned that it's about quality, not quantity. It is much better to have 5 dedicated members who are willing to step out when needed than 100 who don't. At our very first meeting, as we sat in the middle of chapel waiting for people to show up, Zoe actually said to me, "We have to be prepared to do this meeting alone. If people don't show up, we proceed anyway." People did show up, and our small base exists today as some of our most committed and amazing standalone members, whom we cannot be thankful enough. Please come and talk to us if you're interested in any way, or just want to know more. We'll be sticking around for a little while now. Don't worry if you feel young and nervous. We're young and nervous too. It's part of what makes what we achieve so special. Upon hearing about the cause our stories have been put to, J.K. Rowling said, "We do not need magic to change the world. We carry all the power we need inside ourselves already. We have the power to imagine better." Thank you for having us here today. We hope you've been interested by what we have to say. Please take a flyer, like us on Facebook, and check out what we do. On a final note, made-up stories can matter, and we're helping them to leap off the page. Thank you.